Friday, March 25th, 2022. I'm Matthew and we're the Scoops. Tonight we are making chicken and dumplings. Now chicken and dumplings is pretty simple to make. So first things first is getting the chicken all cooked and boiled up. So let's get to that first. Alright, so the first things first is our chicken. Now for tonight I'm just using chicken breast. This is technically chicken breast with rib meat. You can use whole chickens. You can use quarters if you want to use that. It really doesn't matter. For tonight, we're using chicken breast. I'm just going to throw that in the pot here. Next thing I'm going to add is celery. It was about 5 sticks that I sliced up. This ended up being about 1.5 cups. Got some carrots. This is about 2 cups. Ended up being basically 2 large carrot sticks. Just slice them up. Now you don't have to use the vegetables. It'll come out just fine if you don't. I like having the carrots and the celery in mine. Next is going to be garlic. This one I'm just going to say as much to taste. This ended up being about, I think this was 6 cloves. I like a little bit of garlic. Then we've got our onion. This is a whole onion, diced up. Next is going to be broth or stock, whatever you've got on hand. If you've got your own bone broth, chicken stock that you've got made, you can use that. I don't, so I'm just using this here. And yeah, we're going to add 2 of these, which ends up being 2 quarts. Next, I'm going to add some seasonings. All I'm using is your standard rosemary, basil, and thyme. Again, this is pretty much to flavor. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of thyme. I'm going to do about a teaspoon of rosemary and a teaspoon of basil. And next, of course, I'm going to put this on the stove. We're going to bring this to a boil and let the meat cook thoroughly. And we'll let that come to a boil, and afterwards we'll get started on our dumpling dough. Alright, so our chicken's pretty much done, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to turn the heat off so we can get all that chicken out of the broth. And we're going to carefully take this out. Alright, so we've left the chicken aside just for a few moments to cool off. Basically all we're trying to do is get it cool enough to where we can handle it easier. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this up into little chunks. These are still a little actually warm. But yeah, all we're going to do, I'm just going to kind of cut these up like this. And then I'm just going to cut them into chunks. You can make them as big or small as you'd like. And we're going to do that to all of this. Alright, so we've put the chicken back in here. It's all nice and cubed up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 1/2 stick of butter. Drop that in there. And I'm adding heavy cream. This is a 1 quart bottle. I'm going to use about probably 3/4 of it. Now, I'm going to add my salt. I'm going to do about a teaspoon of salt here. And I'm also going to add about a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to stir this up real quick just to get this all mixed in. I'm going to put a lid over it and let this cook. Now, while this is cooking, let's go ahead and get our dough ready. Alright, so for our dough, we're going to use 2 cups of flour. I'm going to use a teaspoon of salt. Alright. We're going to use 3 tablespoons of baking powder. And that's our dry ingredient. So I'm going to mix this up real quick. I'm just going to grab a fork and kind of swish it around. And this is just to kind of get it all good and mixed in. Now we're going to do 3 teaspoons of oil. Pretty much almost any oil will probably do. I'm using sunflower oil. You could use butter if you'd like to, vegetable oil. And we're going to add 2/3 cup of buttermilk. Go ahead and pour that all in there. If you end up needing a little bit more, you can add a little bit more. Otherwise, we're just gonna start kind of working this together till it starts kind of sticking together. And you'll see it, well, start making a dough. All right, so it's all kind of crumbling together now. So let's go ahead, get our hands in there and start working this dough into a ball. All right, that's pretty good there. So let's go ahead and put it down with just a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick everywhere. We'll just have to clean this up later. Let's get this all out here. I'm going to kind of knead it together just so it maintains its shape. Get it a little bit off to the side, that's fine. It's a pretty heavy dough, and we're just going to kind of get this all together here. I'm going to kind of shape it a little bit, because all we're going to be really doing here is breaking off little chunks. Now, some people I've seen, you can use all kinds of methods, cutting it into little strips and whatnot. I kind of like just pulling off bites. And I'm just going to throw them back into the bowl here so I have something to hold them into. And you're just pulling off little bites. You get little pieces that fly off, that's okay. And these, you can make them as big or small as you'd like. I usually, around yay big's fine. And that's really it. Now we're going to put this into the pot. I'm going to take our lid off here and start kind of dropping these in here. Again, be careful of the splash. You don't want this splashing all over the place. I'm just going to kind of get them all in there. Go ahead and just kind of stir that down a little bit. You don't want to break up your dumplings. That's not what we're trying to do here. Kind of give that a good stir. I'm going to put our lid back on. I would say making the dough, that takes a good 6-7 minutes. So we're just going to let this go ahead and simmer for at least another good 10 minutes. And there you go, chicken and dumpling. So again, if you're new here, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're interested in knowing when I upload new videos, make sure to hit the notification bell. As of right now, I'm still doing this daily, but that could change at some point. Otherwise, thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.